Hi, my name is Mirkka Koivusalo. I am a scientific consultant from MedEngine. Today, I'll share with you an overview how the Nordic real-world data supports real-world evidence generation throughout a product's entire life cycle, and what makes it uniquely valuable also in the global perspective. Real-world evidence provides insights that help strengthen decision-making throughout the entire life cycle of a pharmaceutical product. Traditionally, real-world evidence has been most commonly used during the commercialization phase of a drug, supporting market access and other launch activities. In the post-launch phase, real-world evidence has traditionally had an important role in assessing the safety and effectiveness of a product in routine clinical practice. Currently, however, real-world evidence is increasingly used also in clinical development, especially in rare diseases and oncology, to inform trial design, support patient recruitment, build external control arms, and strengthen regulatory submissions. Reflecting this shift in the use of real-world evidence, the regulatory agencies now recognize real-world evidence as a valuable complement to traditional clinical trial data in evaluating the efficacy and safety of drugs. Even though clinical trials do remain the foundation of evidence generation in the development phase, both FDA and EMA increasingly now accept real-world evidence as supportive or confirmatory evidence. This is true especially in rare diseases and conditions with high unmet medical needs. Between 2019 and 2023, there were real-world evidence contributed to 234 regulatory submissions, and these numbers are now expected to grow in the future in parallel with developing regulatory guidance. A common requirement for all these applications of real-world evidence is that there has to be a rigorous standard of data integrity that ensures that the data is of high granularity, of high quality, and the data also has to be transparent. Therefore, the key challenge is how to find regulatory-grade real-world data. The Nordic countries has a combined population of about 28 million people, and the Nordic countries offer several unique advantages for real-world evidence generation. All 4 countries have publicly funded universal healthcare systems, and data are collected in nationwide registers, regardless of the social or economic status of the person. A personal identification number that each person in the Nordics has makes it possible to reliably link individual-level data across different data sources, such as health and social care registers and clinical quality registers. On top of these things, the whole region has a research-friendly environment and advanced legislation that supports the secondary use of data. And importantly, there's also the possibility of combining data across the countries. All Nordic countries maintain national, digital, health and social care registers, as well as other administrative registries with a population-wide coverage. The oldest of these registers date back all the way to 1960s, allowing longitudinal data collection and analysis from several decades. The Nordic countries also offer access to detailed clinical data through electronic health records and clinical quality registers. These data sources in particular include detailed clinical information such as laboratory and imaging data, written text in patient charts, and wealth of other data. In addition to register data, biological samples can also be accessed via biobanks, and health data can be linked with biological samples and sample-derived data. Here is an illustration on how patient-level data accumulate over time. This is shown through an example of a person with inflammatory bowel disease or IBD. In this particular case, the data collected from diverse registries cover medical procedures, laboratory measurements, healthcare visits, medication use, and different diagnoses. For all the patients in the study cohort, data are collected over decades, and this builds a comprehensive picture of a patient's disease trajectory and treatment history. Nordic data is known for its high quality and completeness. In one of our recent studies, we collected a cohort of roughly 70,000 IBD patients from Finland and 623,000 patients from the US claims databases. When we applied very minor inclusion criteria for the patients to be included in the analysis set, we can see that 61% of the Finnish patients, but only 22% of the US patients could be included in the analysis. Therefore, the difference in total patient numbers also narrowed remarkably. This example illustrates nicely that data quality and completeness of data matter more than only the raw numbers. Next, let's take a closer look at each of the 4 Nordic countries. In Denmark, the national registers provide a comprehensive population-level data that includes laboratory result data and hospital medications. All in all, Denmark has more than 80 clinical quality registers in different diseases, allowing access to detailed clinical data. The health registers are currently undergoing a restructuring, and this is expected to further improve access and compatibility across datasets and fasten data updates. Denmark is currently among the fastest countries to access data. The data access time from submission of permit application to data delivery is typically between 2 and 4 months. While no ethics permission is required, authorization by Statistics Denmark is required to access health data. In Denmark, the main restriction is that data currently cannot be transferred outside of Denmark, meaning that all analysis must be conducted within Danish secure environments. In Finland, one of the key advantages is that electronic health record data from the secondary care can be accessed via hospital data lakes. This includes both structured and unstructured data, such as laboratory records, imaging data, and written texts in patient charts. In addition, Finland is the only country that has a nationwide register for primary healthcare data. Finland has a single data permit authority, FinData, which streamlines the application process. Currently, data access time is between 5 and 8 months. Data can be processed only in secure data processing environments audited by FinData, which currently hinders data transfer to other Nordic countries. However, we are now expecting an amendment to the Act on the Secondary Use of Health and Social Data, and this is under consideration in the Finnish Parliament. This suggested change would make data transfer more flexible and allow data transfer, for example, to Statistics Denmark. The new legislation is intended to enter force in May 2026. Data infrastructure in Norway is based on the national registers and disease-specific quality registers. Currently, the main limitation in Norway is the long processing time until accessing the data. In Norway, both ethics approval and collaboration with the local organization are required for affluent data access. Healthcare data is accessed by one portal that provides a coordinated application process to most healthcare registers. In Sweden, there are currently approximately 100 clinical quality or national quality registers that cover the majority of key disease areas. Swedish registers are among the most comprehensive and systematically used clinical quality registers in the world, and many of the registers have over 90% coverage of eligible patients. One limitation of Sweden's quality registers is their unpredictability in data access. Access often depends on having good local connections with the registry holders, and the processing time can vary significantly from one register to another. In Sweden, an ethics permission is required, and access must be coordinated with a local partner. Recently, the time to access national registry data has become significantly faster and is currently between 5 and 8 months. Considering these many similarities in data infrastructure in the Nordics, the region offers unique possibilities for conducting studies across the entire region. This is particularly important, especially in rare diseases, where achieving sufficient patient numbers may be difficult if the base population is very small. Pan-Nordic studies also offer several other advantages and synergies in the processes. As an example, applying data with one umbrella protocol saves a lot of time and costs. How can we then manage these pan-Nordic studies? So in the multi-country studies, the data permit processes and data collection are managed according to country-specific practices. As Danish and Finnish data currently cannot be transferred outside of their borders, it is typically Norwegian and Swedish data that are transferred to either Denmark or Finland. These cross-border transfers usually add a few months to the overall timeline of a project. Typically, data from each country is first analyzed separately, as country-specific information is often of interest in the studies. In addition, pooled data analyses are possible for data that are handled within the same analysis environment. Also, meta-analysis can be used to produce combined results from all 4 countries. So altogether, understanding of country-specific differences in processes and regulations, as well as thorough knowledge of the data content and healthcare system, is key for a successful project conduct in the Nordics. It is also important to be able to communicate with clinical experts and authorities with local language. We recently conducted a population-based registry study on myasthenia gravis in Denmark, Finland, and Sweden, and this is a good example of a pan-Nordic study. In this study, we linked data from nationwide health, social, and administrative registers to build a cohort of roughly 9,000 MG patients. This cohort included all the patients with MG diagnosis in these 3 countries from 2000 to 2020, and to our knowledge, this is the largest real-world dataset globally published in MG. In this project, we worked closely with clinical experts from each country, and we were able to produce comprehensive insights into epidemiology, disease burden, comorbidities, and treatment patterns of MG patients. The results from this study have been communicated in several scientific papers in high-impact journals and also at conferences, and the results have also been used to support local health technology assessment processes and to build long-lasting collaboration with clinical experts within the field. At MedEngine, we have experienced local teams in all 4 Nordic countries. Therefore, we have deep expertise in data sources, study permit processes, and regulations across the entire region. We also have all the qualifications required to work with the Nordic real-world data, such as authorizations from Statistics Denmark. Our team has extensive experience conducting pan-Nordic studies and collaborating with regulatory authorities and clinical experts in each country, and this ensures smooth real-world evidence generation with the highest quality standards for various needs. Thank you.